Welcome to AfterMat, your source for WWE pay-per-view recaps. I'm your host, the People's Champ Cal, and alongside me as always, I have my tag team partner, the Glamazon Delisha. Having a little bit of technical difficulty, she'll be probably joining us soon, but I think her voice is still here. Are you here, Delisha?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just can't see you yet, but it's okay. I'm sure we'll get...
Still nothing?
Yeah, no, it's not coming up yet, but we hear you though.
That is so weird, because I didn't do anything.
So today we'll be talking about Survivor Series 2020. I guess you can call it the end of an era, but Survivor Series has arguably been the best pay-per-view in our eyes for the last few years, I think. Ever since I know they've implemented the Raw versus SmackDown champions versus champions kind of thing for the past few years, but last year I think it was over the top. It exceeded all expectations because they had NXT join the fray as well. Welcome, Skye. How are you? NXT joined the fray, and that was amazing. That was probably arguably the best Survivor Series maybe in history, in my opinion. And I think I gave it an A+, maybe my only A+ in the history of AfterMat. And on top of that, I think it got the AfterMat pay-per-view of the year as well for last year. So, I don't know. Will it live up to the expectations? We'll discuss that in a little bit. But what do you think overall, Delisha?
I wasn't really quite sure what to expect with this particular show. Also because we had the nice, like we said, we had the nice bonus of NXT last year, and this year was like, nope, we're going back to Raw versus SmackDown. It maybe because of COVID-related matters, not wanting so many people on the stage at one time. But overall, I think it did its job. But with the overlooming of is this being the what has been reported to be the legit retirement of the Undertaker, that kind of like overshadowed everything. So I feel like there wasn't as much brand versus brand talk, so to speak. I mean, while the matches were going on, yes, but I feel like in the overall sense of things, they weren't really focused on that.
Yeah, I feel like it was a lot like everything was like, hey, hey girl, hey, welcome Rain, how are you? And welcome Skye as well. It's it was very heavily advertising, you know, the Undertaker's what do you call it? Final his last ride, as they would call it, because you know they had that a whole documentary, Last Ride, and it's been like a culmination all the way throughout since WrestleMania. You know, this is his last WrestleMania, most likely. That's where they did the Boneyard match, and he hasn't really been seen. And they said he should probably end where he began, which was Survivor Series, exactly to the date 30 years ago, November 22nd. I was going to say 1970, it's not 2000. 1990 is when he started. Or debuted, I should say, WWE or WWF back then. And we'll get to that. We'll go to the Undertaker's final farewell towards the end of the show, since that was the last thing that ended the show. But overall, other than that, the card was pretty, solid. Like from what I saw, I wasn't really excited for many matches, but as always, I was excited for my guys like Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles. I didn't know the Miz was participating until I saw the pre-show battle royal that was announced and stuff like that. But any match, and also obviously Sasha Banks as well. I was excited for that. But any matches that stood out for you that you're really excited for, Delisha?
The biggest excitement I think I had was going to be for New Day Street Profits, just because just knowing how those teams operate, I knew there would be like a really good matchup for this type of I guess team versus team. And I was interested on the Sasha and Asuka match just to see what they would do with it. But outside of that, I really didn't have any match like, oh my gosh, I must see that. I think these might have been, at least mainly on a thing of it on the women's side, the weakest team ups, so to speak. Because there really wasn't much that really got me like over. So like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to see this play out.
I know you're a huge Nia Jax fan. You like Bianca Belair, and stuff like that. And I'm a Peyton Royce fan. Liv Morgan I don't mind as much. But I do have some.
I would think I would say the SmackDown women's team have the probably best overall people, whereas Raw was just okay. Like outside of Nia Jax and Shayna, and I guess Peyton too. There really wasn't much.
Wasn't Lacey on that team as well, or am I wrong?
Yeah.
See, like I feel like Lacey's been growing on me more than when she was like the. I think she still is a sassy Southern Belle, but
she's growing off of me.
Because like she's not really doing her character as much anymore, which kind of I got sick of. I liked her athletic ability and how she wrestles. Kind of like what I said about Bianca Belair this time around too. I said Bianca Belair, like I remember texting you about. We're talking about this match even though we're not even up to it yet. But I said to you about Bianca Belair. I'm like, oh, she's really cool. She's got some cool things. I just don't really like her character, but I like her athletic ability and what she could do. But like the same thing for Lacey Evans. I don't really like her character, but it's cool what she does. But we'll talk about that when it comes. First match of the night was a kickoff show, and I think, Alicia, you covered this. It's the Battle Royal, Mixed Brand Battle Royal. Oh, but before we get to that, let me just ask you real quick. How do you feel about NXT not being on the show?
Since I don't know the reasoning, I don't know how I feel about it. I hate that they weren't there, because I really think that really added more intensity to just everything overall. But if it is because just of COVID not having like so many people either backstage or like in the ring at once, I understand. Although we'll get to something that happened later that just didn't make any sense at all when it came to COVID regulations. But if that's like the reason why, then I understand. If it's because people were too into NXT and Vince didn't like that, then I hate that reasoning. But hopefully it's because of COVID and not because they were jealous of popularity of NXT.
And welcome, Slater. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably the exact reason, because I think a lot of the performance center and stuff is having breakouts as well. Breakouts as of COVID, not breakout superstars, which they probably have as well. But I mean, they have COVID breakouts and stuff like that in the performance center as well as in NXT. I think that's to save, or not to save their lives, but I guess essentially to save their lives. But people like Roman Reigns, who's immunocompromised and stuff, and Ric Flair was up there in age, stuff like that, and like obviously Vince McMahon is up there in age as well. But I think for those, and Undertaker I guess now too, you could say that I think for their sakes they just left the NXT off the, and to make it more of a Raw SmackDown thing, because that's more Taker never being on an NXT, I don't think to my knowledge. So the but yeah, so the pre-show was the Battle Royal, mixed brand Battle Royal. What did you think, Alicia? And talk about what happens.
I mean, it because I don't know if I missed the 2 seconds they took to explain why this was happening. I don't understand what was probably just to get them on the show, but I don't understand why this was a thing. Because we had, I guess we had Buddy Murphy, Rey Mysterio, Mysterio's kids, Dominic Mysterio. We had Chad Gable, Jeff Hardy, The Miz, Elias, and Shelton Benjamin, Ricochet, Apollo Crews, and Cedric. I think I named them all. We're all in this battle royal. Again, I don't remember them saying why this was a thing. I mean, I guess he spent it as who was the top star, I guess, of these groups for their brand. Again, just made no sense. They were just all there just to be there. But I guess what was interesting more is that, I guess due to the storyline that we're seeing on SmackDown, is Murphy actually coming out with Mysterio and Dominic to his music. So I guess he's I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to change his name to Buddy Mysterio now. I don't know. But I will say some good things in those matches, the microness of storylines that or closing up ties of storylines, because you saw Shelton Benjamin and Cedric going after Ricochet and Apollo because they have history with the Hurt Business and for the last 5 months, and so they got eliminated by Apollo Crews and Ricochet respectively. So it's kind of tying up those little storylines there. And then you had Murphy saving Dominic and Ray on certain occasions, and then I think he eliminated Ziggler for eliminating Mysterio. So we're kind of intertwining all those family ties, so to speak. And I believe we had our last 4 of Dominic, Gable, and Miz. I said last 3. And then I don't remember who, but someone had tossed Miz through the ropes and landed him out, but leaving Dominic and Gable. And then I think Dominic tossed out Gable. And then, of course, we've seen it bajillion times. You think you won, but that one opponent who slid and that wasn't tossed over comes back and tosses them over. So Miz wins this Battle Royal that was for nothing but to get TV time and get a paycheck. But it was a kickoff show match. We got kickoff show quality that we're kind of mostly get throughout the years anyway, throughout the year anyway. But I mean, for what it was fine.
Yeah, so I don't know why they would do. I mean, just to have a pre-show match, I guess they did the same thing last year, but it actually involved NXT. Slater is saying that the same thing happened every year with a fake elimination, and I was talking to Skye prior to while the match was because I was watching the pre-show with him on while I was on PlayStation with him, and I was saying what do you think Dominic will win? And then I was because I'm it looks like Dominic is the only one besides he came he came out Ray and Murphy, but I said Dominic's the one who really got a real entrance. And then I'm oh wait, Miz is in it too. I'm Miz could win too, but I thought Dominic would win. And Scott's he doesn't really need it. I'm yeah, but maybe they'll just give it to him. And he did kind of win it, but then obviously the Miz came, much to my happiness because I love the Miz. So it was awesome to see the Miz win. But it was fun. I liked it. I mean, did they need it? No. Did they need to have all these people in the ring at once? No. But did the Miz win? Yes. So that's awesome. But yeah, that's about it. I don't really have much to say about it. So we can go to our next match, which actually kicked off the pay-per-view. I agree. Don't stop fighting until you hear the theme song. The one time though, the first time I don't want to say it's the first time it ever really happened, but the first time of note when it happened was the Royal Rumble that Shawn Michaels won, when he entered number 1 and British Bulldog entered number 2, and British Bulldog threw Shawn Michaels over. British Bulldog's music actually hit. His music hit, so he thought he won while Shawn Michaels was skinning the cat. So that was like, I agree with you, Bobby, about that, because that was. They should wait for the music to hit or the bell to ring, because that makes so much more sense. But in that case of British Bulldog, his music did hit, and he thought he won, and then Shawn Michaels obviously threw him out and won the Royal Rumble. But our opening match of the night, opening match of the official main card was your Survivor Series, classic Survivor Series men's tag team match, which featured the Raw team of... who knows? I don't know who's on each team. Let's see. I'll tell you. The Raw team was AJ Styles, so-called captain, Braun Strowman, Keith Lee, Riddle, I guess he's not called Matt Riddle anymore, it's just Riddle, and Sheamus, with, who's Omos? I have no idea who Omos is. Oh, that's the guy, the big 7-foot, whatever tall bodyguard of his, of AJ Styles. Against Team SmackDown, featuring Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, King Corbin, Otis, and Seth Rollins. On paper, I feel like it's heavily skewed towards Team Raw in this. And you know what I noticed also this year, Delisha, going in through the pre-show and all that, they didn't have the scorecard. Like normally they say, okay, one match goes to Raw, they're up 1-0 after the pre-show match because Miz is a member of Raw and he won the Battle Royal, so it'd be 1-0 Raw. But I guess they didn't do that this year. But if you follow it through, it was pretty much even all the way throughout. So if you count the pre-show, we can talk about which team won the thing. But so this was, like I said, it was really heavily skewed roster-wise. And the match was heavily skewed because as soon as the bell rang, Raw kind of went off. And then when Seth Rollins got tagged in, he sacrificed himself because he's, I guess, the SmackDown sacrifice? I don't know. Sheamus eliminated Rollins. A few minutes later, AJ Styles eliminated Owens. A few seconds after that, 45 seconds about, Riddle eliminates King Corbin. A few more minutes after that, Braun Strowman eliminates Otis. And then a few more minutes after that, Keith Lee eliminates Jey Uso. So it was a clean sweep by a heavily dominant team. That's exactly what I expected to see, I think. If you have a team that's stacked. There's not really any big names on Raw's side. I mean, SmackDown side, except for, Rollins and Owens, possibly. And Rollins already sacrificed himself, so it's just pretty much Owens. And they're not giving him the whole Stone Cold, I could beat everyone thing yet. So, I enjoyed it. I loved watching AJ Styles win. I don't mind. I like Sheamus and Keith Lee as well. So, that was 3 of my 5 guys did really well. And it was fun to see them sweep all the way through. What do you think, Alicia?
I actually didn't mind this match. Probably the best part of the match was hearing the better Keith Lee music that they finally gave us. It's no longer that generic mess that they.
Wait, so is it his old music, the one that you wanted, or are they still gonna go back to that?
No, they can't do that because of their cutting ties with the old producer.
Right, I got you.
So it's a little bit similar. Like, it's still Keith Lee rapping on the new track, and they tried to mix it a little bit of the old theme, but old theme's probably still the best. Then this new theme, and then the generic one can stay on the video game. But as far as the match went, I did like the little matches that we got. I feel like Otis went after Keith Lee and Braun and was standing toe to toe with them. That was pretty cool. To keep Otis looking strong, so to speak. He did get eliminated, but still. And then Seth Rollins, I don't understand what he was doing. I guess we get an explanation on Friday. Because he yelled out for the greater good. The throw kicks up, but I don't know what that actually does about. I don't know. Him being he can't really be a martyr because their team didn't win, so he didn't sacrifice himself for anything. But so I don't know. But it feels like it also was to play in for the Jey Uso Roman Reigns angle of him needing to be this the strongbow for the family, so to speak, and not being able to get the job done because Roman would later blame it all on him when it wasn't his fault. But all over, it was a solid match, solid kickoff to the night, and a solid Survivor Series showing because I was not expecting Raw to have all of their members standing.
Yeah, that's exactly what Slater said. He felt it was cold blooded that they had a clean sweep, but I think it should have been. If you look at the roster strength, I think the only weak person on the Raw roster was, in my opinion, Riddle, because he hasn't really established himself. I know in real life he's an amazing wrestler, grappler, and all that, and he is very established. But in the WWE universe, I don't think like in the time they spent in WWE, I don't think he's very established as of yet. I know if you know him from the Independence and all that, yes, you know he's established. But I meant just working on his soul WWE, like whatever his book of chapters and a few chapters that he has in the WWE. Everyone else is solid. I can't say the same for the other side. Like I said, the only person who's really solid on that team is Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, obviously. But we just said what happened with Seth Rollins. He sacrificed himself. So the only solid person left, in my opinion, is Kevin Owens. King Corbin had a upswing for a while, but now he's kind of like off to the wayside. But yeah, so I think it was done well. I think it was done well. That it was a clean sweep. I think any member of Team Raw could have easily beaten any member of Team SmackDown individually. Apart from maybe Seth Rollins probably beating Riddle and Sheamus. That's about it, and maybe Kevin Owens the same. But the next match, it features your Raw Tag Team Champions, The New Day, against your SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Street Profits. And don't forget that they're actually the other team's champions, but they just traded because they both got drafted to their opposite roster, I guess. So they just traded the belts. So I don't know if that counts as a new championship or not, or what happens in the record books of the WWE. But yeah. So Delisha, your thoughts? Or you're covering this match?
Yeah, I mean that is. I didn't even think about how it gets written in the record book. I guess with an asterisk, we're just saying they switched off because due to the draft. I don't know. But this, like I said, this is one of the matches I was looking forward to. Also a lot due to the promos or lead up stories that the Street Profits were doing with Big E. Like they were like it started off with them trying to get like quote unquote team secrets from Big E. And they would just have like fun segments behind backstage, that was really fun. Which we kind of expect with kind of both of these teams to have like a fun like lead up to this match because that's just their personality styles. But I did like that before the match we got like a little bit kind of like more intensity from the Street Profits and before they were coming out. And then throughout the match, you would see New Day again increasing in their intensity to try to get off the win. But it started off very cordial, of them being excited to face each other because I think this might have been, correct me if I'm wrong, their first actual 2 versus 2 matchup. So I think they were just kind of like genuinely excited just to be in the ring with each other at this stage in their careers. But pretty often the jump, New Day gets the stronghold over the Street Profits, with even Kofi doing his like big lead jump over the top rope. It looked like he was trying to hit both of them, but I think Dawkins I don't know if he got out of the way or if Kofi just missed him and just got Montez forward. But Xavier was come clean it up by jumping on him on the main arm as well. And they focused a lot on Montez Ford, as happens a lot because he's technically like the smaller guy or the leaner guy, so to speak. So I guess you would go after him as the quote unquote weak link, but he's not really weak, just being the smaller guy. Working his midsection, working his arms to really cut him off from his tag team partner. But he would eventually get the hot tag from Dawkins to get their own comeback momentum going. And excuse me. He hit his big like high leap frog splash onto Kofi, I believe, but he wasn't able to get the pin because playing off the midsection injury, so to speak, that the New Day had worked on earlier on the match. And then you would then get Dawkins to come in after him to do I forget, I think it's like a power slam, and then also with Montez coming up off the top. But they do get the win to defeat the New Day for the SmackDown win of the night. And all in all, it was a really good match. I said in my tweet last night, I really shouldn't be surprised about the great match that we got between these two because of who's in the ring. And I also feel like New Day tends to elevate who's ever in the ring with them. I don't know if it's their veteranship by now or if it's just like that energy that they give off in the ring that you want to put on a good match. But this was a really good showing, and I would hope to see more of them at some point in the future. Like not like immediately, but at some point in the future. Also, note that Big E did come out with a New Day in their is it Gears of War? Is that the game?
The what? Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They came out to some game thing. I didn't. Sorry, I didn't see it though. This is when I started. I got busy with my laptop stuff, but
Gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha. So the new Day, all three of them are in the game Gears of War, and they came out in those costumes.
Yeah,
I'm
so
not really
with
sure
the armor, the body. I saw their thing, but I didn't know what it was for yet. I didn't really pay attention that closely to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was kind of nice to hear Big E's voice coming out from the speaker and seeing him come out. But yeah, no, I really did enjoy the match. What about you for the parts that you were able to see?
So what I saw was them walking down the ramp, and what I saw was whoever won. I didn't even hear who won. Who won? You said New Day won? Or Street Profits?
Street Profits.
Okay, there you go. That's all I know. But
take my word for it that it was a good match.
I'm gonna have to go back to watch this because I like both the teams, so I'm gonna have, like I said, Street Profits I wasn't really fond of at first, but I do like the New Day separated. But it's cool to see Xavier was back in action. It was Xavier, right, who wrestled?
Say that again.
It was Xavier, right? It wasn't Big E.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So and I love Kofi. Kofi, of all the people there, Kofi's my favorite. So yeah, I have to go back and watch this one. I the time that I had today, I went back to watch the match I covered, so I didn't get to see this one. I'll go back and watch this. But I'm going to go back to the chat a little bit and talk about what we have in the chat going on. Slater says that maybe supposedly Rollins has mega heat against Riddle. He's not sure if that's 100% accurate or not. But a lot of people seem to have backstage, obviously Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, big names. Big names are having issues with Riddle, which is why I wonder why he's still around kind of thing. Maybe the company's still high on him. Skye says the fact that Skye said that this match is probably the match of the night in his opinion. It was a great Slater agrees, great match, and you got to give props to the Street Profits. And Skye loves it the fact that the tag team titles are both held by black tag teams, and I think I noted that most of the majority of the titles are actually held by minorities, which is kind of crazy. I think, with the exception of Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre, I think every title is held by a minority, which is great to see. Then PTO came in PT80, sorry, came in and said that he didn't enjoy Survivor Series. He had higher expectations, which I do agree. Survivor Series, though, in my opinion, has been the best of all the Big Four in the past few years. Royal Rumble's great too, always fun to watch. I think WrestleMania has been let down maybe the past 2 years. I understand for last year why, because of COVID, or this past year because of COVID. But they did make the best of it with like the Cena Bray Wyatt match. That was kind of fun to watch, and the Boneyard match, everyone loved that. So they had some moments, but yeah, Survivor Series, it wasn't as good as last year because obviously I think that inclusion of NXT last year put it over the edge, like I said. But this year it was not bad though. It wasn't bad. But like Skye. Well, I said, like Skye says, everyone has their opinion, so yeah. What are you saying, Alicia?
Yeah, I was gonna say we would probably have mentioned it after the last pay-per-view, next month. But for what the cards they were given, I feel like they did the best that they could for most of the year, which is why this year is always gonna have an asterisk next to it, probably for almost everybody, every aspect of everyone's life this year. There's gonna be an asterisk next to it. Because I was talking to you, Cal, like I don't know if it was earlier this week or last week, where I was watching the Royal Rumble from this year, and I almost got taken aback at the crowd because I was so used to there being like no big crowd, and just to think that like by the time the next pay-per-view came, the world was shut down. So it was they like I give them props for even trying to even put on a show. Even though we still do have our qualms with everything, especially with a lot of the stuff that they've handled with like storylines and stuff. But as we keep saying, we've said, I think on almost every pay-per-view since the shutdown, that we have to take with a grain of salt because they are doing with what they can with the limited resources that they are allowed to have. Not that they do have, that they are allowed to have in the state that they are performing in. So, but you know, we the depending on how it goes next month, we probably might be getting some semblance of that. What we're used to coming back. So.
I have to see. I have to address what PTA just said. He says with the talent the WWE has, it feels lazy. I do agree with that because I've said this on numerous occasions. Like, you might be new to the show, but I've said this on numerous occasions that you can't do it with this many people on the roster. That's why having a brand separation. They do have two brands, but they have combined pay-per-views, and that takes away from the talent because you can't showcase everybody. And in the time that, and if you put big matches like this with 5 men on each side, or women on each side each, that takes away. You can't really showcase anybody. But I have to get to that when we get to the women's Survivor Series match. I think they did a great job showcasing a few of the ladies on that. But it's hard to showcase people, especially with all the talent they have. Like, I do agree with you, they have a tremendous amount of talent. That's why NXT is so successful, because they're just on their own, right? Except for this time they came up for Survivor Series last year, they had their own pay-per-views where they could showcase their talent because they could put their entire roster across that entire pay-per-view. However, when you have something like the main rosters, if you want to consider them the main rosters, I like to put them in quotes now because NXT is huge. Had a creative, but what I can't have Daniel. Hey! He could beat somebody I don't like. I don't know. Who else would I like? I don't know. We'll think about it. Maybe he'll fight LeBron James and he'll beat LeBron James and Ric Flair and Charlotte Flair. But yeah. So yeah. So if we're gonna do it, split the pay-per-views up like they used to do. It makes us have more work. Like for us at AfterMat. And possibly AfterTalk as well, will have more work for us. You'd see us more often, I guess, but it also takes a lot out of us as well. So when they reduce the amount of pay-per-views, it's great, but like PT80 is saying, and I've been saying for years now, or whenever they don't have the split pay-per-views, it's hard for the talent to showcase.
Do you think they should do it like the older way, to where it was, outside of the big four, it was this month is a SmackDown pay-per-view, this next month is a Raw pay-per-view.
Sure.
Rather than a pay-per-view every 2 weeks. Because, you get more reviews, but that was exhausting.
Yeah.
Not to cover it, but just watching it and be like, gosh,
yeah.
Another one already? So, I think that
could work. Because that way you could build up the pay-per-views too. That's a great idea. I mean, it's something they've done, which I agree with you. They should do that. Because that allows... The whole thing about making matches about pay-per-views, you know how many times we said, hey, look, we're seeing the same match that we saw last pay-per-view, right? It's like a rematch of, like, to get revenge or whatever it is. You know how we've been saying that? So, if you have every other pay-per-view per month, except for the big four, like you said, be a brand itself, that allows for build-up of pay-per-views, right? And that's what I think sells a payper-view. I don't know why you can call them pay-per-views anymore because it's all on the WWE Network, but you got us. We're old school, so that's to go with the theme of Undertaker.
They didn't even call the pay-per-views, and we're all just stuck in the past. I mean, we do pay every month, so we are paying to view it. So I don't know.
Yeah. So exactly. That's so. I agree with Delicia's take on it. They should do like every other month have the brands go against each other, and then have the I think besides, but see, there's some big pay-per-views that you need like to have like the joint teams, right? Because something like Money in the Bank, right? Money in the Bank is more interesting when you have both brands on there, in my opinion, I think. And then also maybe Elimination Chamber. That's kind of interesting if you have 3 from Raw, 3 from SmackDown. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a balancing act, but I feel like even in the current format of both brands being on each pay-per-view, even that could even still be better because it's just all in your writing and how you're planning to execute them. I know I do this all the time. If you even though NXT is still on a slightly smaller scale, it is a smaller pool of your big pool, so to speak, and what they continuously from start to finish, even though there has been some lulls where a lot of the pay-per-views weren't
100% great, but they were still better than what the blue and red brand were doing. But I don't. So it's just like, for me, it has to be business model and writing that's really hurting Raw and SmackDown, because NXT is still able to do it with they have I mean, it's not a big roster, but they have a pretty good amount of folks listed on their NXT roster. Plus, they have NXT UK to deal with as well, and they're still putting out consistent content. Not always great, but it's consistent.
And another thing about, we talk about rematches. Rematches are not always bad. If you think about, like, an NXT, when we saw, I think, Tommaso Ciampa against Johnny Gargano 758 times, they were all great matches. Like, I think they headlined 3 straight pay-per-views, and they were all amazing matches. So it's not just, I think it's just the fact that we get exhausted by how much talent there is on the main rosters, that we want to see other people. Whereas in NXT, we know what they're working with, like the pick of the litter, and who people are developing to see if they can make the main roster. That's why I like when Finn Balor went down. That was kind of cool to see. Stuff like that. Like, it's cool to see them move around. But we should probably move on, because we talk about this for not even the pay-per-view. Our next match featured a champion. I don't know which one's which. Bobby Lashley against Sami Zayn. And I think Bobby Lashley is your U.S. champion representing Monday Night Raw, and Sami Zayn is your Intercontinental champion representing SmackDown.
Correct.
Ha-ha! Now that they changed the belts, I don't even know, it's weird.
Yeah, sometimes I do forget that Sami is champion, but I think that's just from lack of him always being on screen. But this one probably had the least amount of build up, so to speak, with it being like just one-on-one, because at least with the teams, you have the build up of putting the teams together and the infighting between teams. That was storylines of itself. But this one, it was just more like Bobby is like, I'm gonna kick his ass, and that's it. And then Sami is just like, I'm a better wrestler, and that was like the build up. And then that was it. And then the match kind of followed that same sphere where Zayn tried to get a lot of quick maneuvers and wrestling maneuvers on Lashley, but every time he would get a momentum going up, Lashley would use a power move to overtake him. It actually was really funny that after, I think it was a power slam or a suplex by Lashley, Zayn tried to get the match like to halt because he had vertigo. I just thought that was like pretty fun and unique, and kind of like on par with like Sami Zayn's like heelness. And I guess another factor was trying to get 2 heels to work in this setting, but it kind of worked because they're 2 different style of heels, where Lashley is just the dominant brute powerhouse, and Sam was just the Skye V, I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to win. But he couldn't do it here because after one slams too many, Lashley overtakes him to get the 1-2-3 win for Raw, giving them the 2-1 advantage, although we technically weren't counting these in the actual pay-per-view, it seems like. But it was fine. Again, with a match without much build-up, and it really is just U.S. champion versus IC champion versus SmackDown versus Raw. It did what it had to do, and it was over probably, I think, in 5 minutes.
Yeah, so a lot of people still talk about the chat about rematches not being bad. PT80 says the Rollins-Murphy Mysterio should have ended a long time ago. Skye says he loved the Shinsuke AJ Styles match. So I was like, wait a second, do we need Japan or WWE? Because WWE was trash. He's the New Japan, obviously. And PT80 doesn't like how they wasted Shinsuke at a Battle Royal. Shinsuke's been falling off lately. I think he's still popular. It sucks what they're doing with him. He was so interesting. I hate that they changed his music, but that's because he's a heel now. Keep him a face. He's great as a face. And he's not bad as a heel either, don't get me wrong, but I feel like he's just better as a face, I think, because the crowd likes to sing his music better. I don't know. But yeah, this match was obviously a squash as expected. This is also part of the match that I missed because I was busy doing work on my school stuff. So I did see the Lashley lock, or whatever it's called, what's it called? Hurt Lock. And I knew it was over. It's predictable, like Skye said. The next match featured your Raw Women's Champion Asuka versus the SmackDown Women's Champion, Sasha, who still has the belt, surprisingly. She did not lose it on SmackDown when she defended against Bayley, I guess. That's a joke about Sasha never being able to defend her belt. And, if this match was for the title, maybe she would have lost it, possibly, but she did not. This match was very technically centered, I guess. It was just basically a lot of reversals and submission trials and basically knees. That's pretty much all I saw. I saw backstars, I saw knees to the face, I saw meteoras, I saw reversals into arm bars, reversals into pins, reversals into sunset flips. That's all it was. I don't think I saw anything other type of slams or anything, honestly, at all. Sasha went for an even worse frog splash than she normally does. She did it off the middle turnbuckle, and she countered that into a stop where she's like, "Oh no, I knew what you could do. I knew you could put your knees up." Let me turn that into a bank statement, which was a really bad version of the bank statement. Yeah, so it was just a lot of reversals, and it was very well wrestled. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a very good match, but it wasn't really action packed. It's hard to explain. It wasn't like, let me knock you out for a while, because there was a few knockout moments with kicks and knees. But there wasn't much wrestling other than that, besides reversals and technical submission moves. And it eventually ended with a bunch of reversals again, and Sasha pinning Asuka for a 1-2-3 with I don't know what you call that pin move, but it was a pin move. Yeah. So it was very technical. A few stiff kicks and knees, but other than that, not much other wrestling besides reversals and submissions. What do you think, Alicia?
Yeah, I feel like we got what we kind of expected with these two. It was gonna try to be like a submissive back and forth, which is what it was. They each of them trying to get a submissive move onto the other to get them to tap out. I don't think it was as great as their SummerSlam or whatever match they had last year. I don't think it was as great as that one, but I do think for this one had a lot of intensity to it as well. And while, again, much like the match before, it didn't have a lot of build-up, but since they had so much history with each other, that was kind of a build-up in and of itself. And plus, it's Asuka and Sasha Banks. Sasha being one of the 4 horsewomen of NXT into, the SmackDown Raw roster. Asuka being the dominant force that she was coming into her own as Raw champion. This match, I really did not know how this was going to go, because we had 2 different things to accomplish here. We kind of had to solidify Banks as the SmackDown Women's Champion, but also not wanting to have Asuka fall back to the wayside as she has kind of been in the last couple of weeks. I really can't even recall some of Asuka's matches, mainly just backstage segments she's been having these last couple of weeks that were pretty fun. So kind of hoping now that we're kind of done with the whole brand pay-per-view, that we can kind of get back to the Asuka of old. I like how she's being more fun with her character, and just outright just speaking Japanese, because I have no idea what she's saying, but it's still funny all the same, because I don't speak Japanese. I wonder if I Google Translate on would I be able to figure it out. But I like that.
You can sit next to Skye and have him translate for you.
Oh, okay. Skye, translate for me and send me a transcript. But I would like to still see her get back to her dominating ways. I feel like we can still have that balance of the light and fun Asuka, but still being serious and dominant when it comes to the ring.
Right.
And give her some good opponents, man.
Yeah, her and Shayna Baszler would be a good match, like we saw at the end of the Elimination Chamber that one year. Skye said he really enjoyed the match because of a lot of reversals and close calls, which I was saying that, they had a lot of that. It was good. This is one of my favorite matches of the night. Even though I mentioned it the first time around, I rewatched it. So yeah, this was probably one of my favorite matches of the night. I wish there was a lot more, kind of moves as opposed to just reversals and, submission tries. But it was good. It was fun. I feel like they should have another full-fledged match, maybe at WrestleMania or something. I don't know when, but they're always fun to watch together. And so this one tied it up 2-2, right? Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
2-2.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings us to our next match of the Raw, a women's team, a traditional Survivor Series match featuring Peyton Royce, your women's tag team champions, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, Lacey Evans and Alana against the SmackDown women's team featuring Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Natalia, and Bayley.
Yeah, so this one was kind of maybe not lopsided as it was. Actually, no, it kind of might have been almost kind of the same, where they're kind of stacked on the Raw side, especially with having Nia on there and Shayna as kind of like your veterans. And I guess you have the same with Bailey and Natalia on the other side, and then you have your newbies, so to speak, in Lacey, Peyton, and I guess Lana's not really new, but she's still green. And then but with Liv and Ruby and Bianca on the other side. So I guess in that, actually, now that I say that out, they're actually kind of evenly matched. But this one kind of started off in the usual fair. Actually, we did have some like build up with this match. Probably one of the matches that really got a lot of build up. Because we had really the SmackDown women being more in the solidarity side, much to their male counterparts from earlier the night. They were more on the brand, we are doing this for our show supremacy, whereas on the Raw side, it was pretty much Nia and Baszler fighting for dominance as like co-captain, so to speak. And as a lot of you probably know, it was originally supposed to be Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. But Mandy got injured, so they did a kayfabe injury on last Monday, whatever, to get her off the show. And then they had I forget her whatever retribution name, but Mia Yim attacked Dana to get her out. So, and that's where we got the Riot Squad. I think that's how we got. I mean, that's how we got Peyton and yeah. No, yeah, I think it was Lacey. Because I think Lana was originally going to be part of the team either way. But this whole match kind of was a Lana storyline, or a culmination of the last couple of weeks between Lana, Nia, and Shayna. But we started off with I forget who started off the match, but I do remember Lana tagging herself in, and this would be the kickoff to the storyline of the whole match. And Jack's not being happy about that, because they just wanted Lana to not tag herself in, to be on the sidelines, like, we didn't even want you on this team, so to speak. So just like sit there and be quiet. And she was going off against Natalia and was really getting some good defense in there until she got I think almost locked on the sharpshooter, and then kind of walled herself out, and then went to go tag. And initially, I think she went over to either Peyton or Lacey, and they didn't want to tag her in. So Nia tagged herself in and told her to go stand on the steps. Which I don't know why, as a grown woman, you're listening to another grown woman tell you what to do. But I digress. I didn't write this storyline. But then we also get late Peyton Royce back into the ring going against Bailey, and she really got to showcase what she can do as a single star by eliminating Bailey, your former SmackDown Women's Champion, the self-proclaimed captain of Team SmackDown, and she is the first one to go. And then after that, you get Royce tapping out to Natty's sharpshooter. So then we have elimination on each side. And then we get Natty and Baszler going at it, and she actually got her into the sharpshooter, and you're like, oh shoot, is she gonna make Baszler tap? But no, Evans comes out with like the woman's right to I believe she blind tagged herself in for the woman's right to get Natty eliminated. And then later on in the match, you'll get Baszler submitting Ruby Riot with the, what is it called? Kirifuda?
Kirifuda clutch.
I can never say. I don't know why I have trouble saying her submission. She actually, I don't know. I couldn't quite see the angle because of the camera that they had it on. But it seems like she did have the Kirifuda. Can't say it. Kirifuda clutch, and also in a pinning combination. But Ruby was almost like already knocked out as well. So it was like a submission / pin at the same time. It was weird. But we've seen her do that to Ruby, I think, twice before, in just regular matches, to where she's like legit just out cold until it was time for her to get rolled out of the ring. And that left, I believe, Morgan and Belair as the last two surviving members, and they were doing all right for a little bit. And I think I think Morgan got an elimination out before she got eliminated herself, but that left Belair as the last woman standing against. She must have eliminated Lacey because if the last people were Shayna and Nia, and then Lana still on the steps. And so this is where they really gave Belair the time to shine, which would probably be no surprise to anyone. We're getting her lick sitting at Shayna, Fury kicks and punches to Nia, and she almost got an elimination to get a one-on-one with Lana. But they wound up doing a double count out on Nia as she got her over the barricade, but she could not get back to the ring in time. And I forgot how she eliminated Baszler, but she did get Baszler.
Baszler got disqualified for holding on after.
Oh, that's right. She tried the submission clutch on Belair, but she was able to get her arm over the rope, but Shayna wouldn't let go. And just the way, for a quick second, I thought they were trying to say that for some reason Belair was eliminated. It was just the verbiage that the referee immediately yelled out that I was confused. But it could have been me just being tired. But that's how Baszler got herself eliminated, and then Nia lost by count and Belair technically lost by count of 2 because she could not get back in the ring in time, leaving Lana as your sole survivor for Team Raw. And as much as I don't really care for her, I thought that was pretty funny. And I know some of the fans were mad on Twitter, but it was funny, and it really played into an actual storyline. So, that made me happy.
Yeah, I loved it. It was great for Lana. Great victory for her. That's why I think I texted you right when it happened. Like, yay, Lana. Like, I'm not a Lana fan, but it was just funny to see it happen. It's a culmination of all that stuff. I want to go back to...
I was hoping that as a redemption arc, she would get, like when she tagged herself in, I thought she was, going to get, a pen to, ha, I can do this. But it still played out pretty fun.
I want to go back a little bit. So that brought the lead for Raw back up to 1 point lead, 3-2, right? So, at least on the main card. Something that PT said, the one thing he doesn't understand about Survivor Series is that, or the biggest problem that he has with Survivor Series, or she has with Survivor Series, is that it doesn't matter who wins, right? Because whatever brand wins, what's the point? So the PT suggested that maybe they should have the brand that wins headline WrestleMania, which I think is a great idea. It's kind of what the MLB does. Whoever wins the All-Star game gets home field advantage at the World Series.
Yeah. I was gonna say then that would take away the Royal Rumble because that person the male gets the main event WrestleMania, right?
No,
or is that just a title shot WrestleMania?
It's a title shot at WrestleMania.
Oh, okay. Which usually turns out to be the
main event, right? Because remember, don't forget Becky and them at the WrestleMania in New York, New Jersey, the triple threat with. Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda Rousey that had nothing to do with the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So
I was.
So yeah. So what I was saying was the reason why that I think it's a great idea because the MLB does it and it works out well for them. But for WWE, they don't write that far ahead, and even if they do, you never know what happens with injury and how the WWE universe reacts, right? With who's hot at the moment, who's not hot at the moment. Because look what happened with Kofi Mania, right? When Kofi Mania happened, that they blew up, right? And that was from Elimination Chamber album, which was only a few months before WrestleMania. So you have to look at how things are, the state of the universe in this case. Welcome Bubba as well. So I love the idea to make it seem more meaningful, but you can't really have that because of how things are in flux. I
would say maybe not to main event WrestleMania, or at least have it. I feel like there should be, besides prideful competition or ego competition of just winning, they could have something that plays out on the actual brand show. Like, hey, you get to pick your match for this day or something like that, or something for being the.
Or how about have it just see, the only problem is all of it would have to be storyline, right? It can't be real because it's fixed. Because the reason why I say that is because the way the NBA game does it and the NHL does it and probably the Pro Bowl does it as well is the winners get a $50,000 bonus, right? So
no, I mean legit because even winning Survivor Series is all storyline. But so storyline wise, your winner.
They could say that they got a $50,000 bonus. They could say they got the bonus.
Give them a pizza party. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's bragging rights. They always say it's bragging rights, right? But they could just say $50,000 bonus. I don't know, whatever. But back to the match. I like this match because it's showcase like we were talking about earlier that you don't have time to showcase. But I said there was one match where you didn't really get to showcase in a gigantic match, and I usually complain about when there's more than like 5 people in a match because it just gets sloppy and stuff, especially when it comes to the women's side for some reason. I have no idea why, but like when you look at the Money in the Bank matches and all that kind of stuff, it's gotten really sloppy over the years. But this match was done very well. There was not really any sloppiness that I saw, and it really showcased a lot of the women, such as Bianca Belair, who I said, oh man, she's pretty cool. Like I wasn't really a fan of hers. Like I didn't like her gimmick or anything like that, and I don't like her hair at all. But it just gets in the way, I feel like. Why would you have that? Like, it's not strategic. Like, you just pull it down and, like, that's it. Like, you get caught anywhere. I know she uses it as a weapon and stuff. That's kind of cool. But, like, I just don't think it's very strategic for a wrestler to have very long hair like that. But, yeah, she did really, really, really cool stuff. So I liked seeing that. Very athletic. All the exchanges she had with Shayna Baszler and such like that. And Lacey Evans. Liv Morgan looked really good in the ring. She got to showcase a lot of her Enziguri or Shining Wizard looking really good lately. And Peyton Royce, like you mentioned earlier, her eliminating Bayley was awesome to see, and seeing her as a singles competitor was great. And obviously Lana winning it all for them was funny. Yeah, Biggie doesn't. Yeah, I'd rather see Biggie by himself and Kofi by himself as well. So, but yeah, so it was good. I think it was a fun match, and I liked that the women got showcased. I like to see Ruby Riott and the Riott Squad back together. Unfortunately, Sarah Logan's away, and I think she's pregnant now, or just had a baby. But
pregnant.
Them alone is kind of weird, but I do like them individually as well as together for the Riott Squad. Peyton, I miss having the Iconics, but you know she's great alone too. I just wish Billie Kay gets some more push and stuff like that. But this was a fun match. Got to see the showcasing and all that. That brings us to I think the final match of the evening, featuring your Universal Champion Roman Reigns representing SmackDown against the WWE Champion Drew McIntyre representing Raw. And this match was just made last minute, I guess, right? Because it was supposed to be Randy Orton representing Raw, but then he lost it at the previous Raw right before SmackDown. I think that was supposed to happen anyway because this is a bigger, I think, more monumental match. And it did pay off. I think it was a great match. I really love seeing Drew in the spotlight. This is what he needed, right? Like, he fought Brock, and it was, like, cool. But this was, like, that real good head-to-head matchup. Him against Orton was alright too, but I felt like this is like really showcased him. Like, look at how far you've come along, right? From being the golden child to being fired, going away, coming back, winning through NXT, working your way up, and being the NXT champion. Also getting injured at that time too. Then making his way to the main roster again, working his way up to finally winning the Royal Rumble, and now being the champion of WrestleMania. To a stellar, like a marquee main event match at one of the big four. And I think that was just a great journey he's been on, and really showcasing his attitude and his presence in the ring during this match. Like this little smirks he gave, very good ring psychology he had throughout this match, and he dominated the early part of the match until Roman Reigns came back with like some of his more power moves, such as like a Samoan drop and stuff. When Drew was basically in control of the beginning of the match, and then Roman countered a Future Shock DDT into a Samoan drop, and then Roman dominated for a little bit while, and then Drew came back and started coming back with his Glasgow Kiss, and led to his a few signature moves. Roman went for the Superman punch a few times. Eventually, the match got to the outside of the ring. Roman went for a Samoan drop onto the table, did not break. Did it again, it broke. He speared Roman through. Sorry, Roman speared Drew through the barricade. They got back in the ring, went for the pin. Drew kicked out surprisingly. I think he hit another spear. Drew kicked out again. Superman punch, and Drew just kept getting up and up and up and up and showing how resilient he was and how strong he's become. And it was great to see. I love seeing that character for Drew, just overcoming adversity, just like he did against Brock Lesnar's F5s and such. His sword gave him strength, the Claymore, right? He finally, speaking of said Claymore, he did hit that Claymore. Unfortunately, that caused Roman to fall into the referee, knocking him out. Now, what do we expect to see? We expect to see the Paul Heyman interfere, but not really as much anymore. I figured one of the Usos would come out and help. So what I thought before this match happened was Drew would not lose cleanly, and I figured he would lose via the Usos, both Usos helping Reigns win. And I thought that was going to become a trend for a while, right? Where the Usos keep helping Reigns win until it comes to The Rock. And when The Rock comes, they're going to keep fighting until that's when they turn on Roman. Unless they want Roman to win, then obviously the Usos will help him beat The Rock, because I don't think The Rock should ever lose cleanly to Roman. Unless he's like, here's my gift to you, you're my blood. I don't mind losing cleanly to you. That's the only way The Rock would lose cleanly, if he agrees to it backstage kind of thing. But story-wise, I don't know if Vince would ever do that. Even though Vince is so high on Roman, he is even higher on Rock. But I thought it was going to start a trend of the Usos helping Roman win for the rest until The Rock came out, right? But no, it's just one of the Usos. I think it's Jay came out. Basically, Drew, after he hit the Claymore, they both got up. Roman hits a low blow. Jay hits the super kick. Roman puts him into a guillotine, and then Drew just passes out. He doesn't even tap. He just passes out and gets called for a submission on technicality. Much like Lacey, I think it was, or Ruby Riott was, by Shayna Baszler. Same situation. So yeah, I mean, it still made Drew look strong, and Roman look like a good heel. And the whole Jay background with him being his servant or whatever, indebted to him or whatever they said it is playing out well. So it's cool to see. What sucks is, are we going to ever see this again? They're on two different brands. It's a great match. I enjoyed it. Who feuds with whom now, right? Like, I know we have a lot going on still. We have the Fiend in the background, such like that. But this was an awesome match. I hate to see that it ends. But yeah, this is a great way to end the evening, in a way, for the match part of the evening, right? So what do you think, Delisha?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, that these were two powerhouse face of their brands going head to head, that I'm not particularly sure if we would have gotten that with Reigns versus Orton. I still think it would have been a good match, even though we would have had, once again, your male one-on-ones being two heels, because we had the same with Lashley and Sami Zayn. So I think it was a good call for it to be McIntyre. McIntyre is really flourishing in the new face role than he was as he was a heel when he was rolling with, what was it, Rude and Miz or something like that? Oh, Ziggler. So I really appreciate
wait. Can I stop you for 1 second real quickly? I'm sorry. But I just noticed this now. Can you look at the little thumbnail that I have for the match? Doesn't it look like Drew McIntyre is facing Paul Heyman for each other champion, and Roman Reigns is your special guest referee in the middle?
It does.
Alright, sorry, go ahead.
And it also looks like on your background that Taker is like about to choke slam you if you turn around.
He's waiting behind me in the wings.
But I did there was some kind of like lulls in the match for my taste. But overall the match was like really great for these two, and I really loved the counter to Reigns' spear, to where was it a submission or was it a pinhold? That it was a submission.
Submission, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool, because we had never really seen. We don't see a lot of people counter.
He put him in a Kimura. That's Brock Lesnar's submission finisher.
Right. Okay. So it's also kind of like he's like learning things from his like past opponents and stuff like that. I actually forgot to mention that earlier in the evening, Montez Ford did a Trouble in Paradise on the Kofi. So that was actually kind of fun. Anyway, but we're talking about this match. I like these two, and I still do like the story of Reigns, top god, head of the family. Sorry, I'm glad that Michael Cole doesn't say big dog as much as possible. That's a plus. we don't get to hear him say big dog a lot. And it does make me excited for their respective, their respective reigns, no pun intended, on each other's brand. And maybe we will see these two clash up again another time. But
yeah,
it was good.
To your lull point though, like it did have some doubt, moments where they did not do much, but it wasn't as. This is coming off. Don't forget, this is coming off the match where him and Jey Uso laid around for like the majority of the match. Right, so like that's why I didn't really notice it as much as how normally it was for whatever. All right, that brings us to what you can possibly consider the main event of the evening, because it's what Vince always says. WrestleMania doesn't matter what the last match is. The main event is always The Undertaker, right? That's The Undertaker's night. But tonight was his night, right? Because I said November 22nd, right here, if you look at the thumbnail, 1990s when he debuted in WWF at the time, and when he retired the character of The Undertaker, November 22nd, 2020. Yeah, so, well, Bubba, if you watched my last episode about what was the last pay-per-view that we talked about? Whatever the last pay-per-view was. Hell in a Cell, maybe?
Hell in a Cell?
Yeah, Hell in a Cell. Watch that, Bubba, and you'll see my whole thing about The Rock. How The Rock will be involved in the storyline. Because eventually they're going to say Rock... Roman's not the chief of the family, it's actually The Rock. And Roman's going to keep trying to call The Rock out. The Rock's like, no, I'm retired, I'm done. And they're going to get The Rock's mom involved, and that's the only way The Rock will get out there to fight. But yeah, that's for another time. Just go back and watch that. But this is about The Undertaker now. For 30 years, he's been dominating. Like, people have said there's nothing in sports that'll ever... I guess you can't really... Sports entertainment. But, some people even say in the world of sports, they'll see anything like this, of somebody dominating for so long. And granted, it is written or scripted. But, he still has to, like, maintain his health and all that and, take care of others. Because if you're injuring other people, you're probably not going to last long unless you're Nia Jax. Right? So his longevity, his consistency, everything, his character has been so sound through the years, right? For 30 years, he's able to evolve with the company. As much as I hate the American Badass, he was still thriving at that point as well. Yeah, he didn't call for help. Jey Uso just came out. That's very true. It just shows how much yeah. I agree. That makes sense. So yeah, it's just a testament to his character, right? For being so dominant and involving so many other people, helping other people grow as well, right? Like making Kane, right? Obviously, Glenn Jacobs had a lot to do with that as well, but him and the Brothers of Destruction are a huge thing, right? Just the Shawn Michaels trilogy, the 15 times he fought Triple H at WrestleMania, all that kind of stuff, and making making WrestleMania what it is, So it starts out with people who come in to pay homage to Taker, and a lot of random people, but Shane O'Mac was there, and other one of the people that of note was Godfather, as Skye was telling me about before. Undertaker's one of his best friends, if not his best friend when he first started, and probably to this day, is the Godfather, when he was Kama, Mustafa, and Night Show Domination, all that kind of stuff, and Papa Shango, right? So, and I think that's why he's called the Godfather, because he's actually the Godfather of maybe Taker's children. I think that's what Skye was telling me. But yeah, and then other people like Midian, who was the Phineas Godwin or Henry Godwin, one of those two with Midian. Some random people, kind of weird to see, but seeing Mick Foley there was good. Triple H, obviously, Shawn Michaels, Big Show, yes. Ric Flair, yes. Why is JBL? I don't know. JBL, Booker T, even don't really need to see that. I'd rather have seen people like Edge, maybe, because Edge time with him was great. Maybe if you even bring back Jericho, I doubt they could ever do that, but that would have been cool to see Jericho. Hulk Hogan, obviously, but we're not, they're not really too high on Hulk Hogan, even though he was at the last WrestleMania, I think, or whatever. Some of those people would be a lot better to see than some of the people they had there, honestly. And obviously, the final person to come out was Kane, which is awesome to see. And he got his own moment, which was pretty cool. But why? Why did they all come out, besides to, test COVID restrictions, right? Why did they come out? Yeah, he's a mayor of Knox County, I think, or something like that, in Kentucky. Why? Why did they come out? Because I thought that maybe they would have them clapping when he walked out or something. But no, they played a package, which was nice, and then they all left. And then Taker came out. Taker came out to his normal music. The only difference was, they had some more extra riffs in there as well. And then he came up and was elevated on a lift He didn't do his normal turn the lights on kind of thing, which is, I guess, I would love to see that one more time. See him turn the lights on. And then I know it takes away from his giving the speech in the dark or whatever he was trying to do and having the flames go off. But seeing that moment when he turns the lights on is iconic. And taking the hat off and stuff. And then the speech he gave, right? It was like 6 lines, right? 2 paragraphs, 3 lines each. And I for some reason I knew he was I didn't know if he was gonna say this here or at his retirement speech. I thought he was gonna say like maybe at the retirement. I thought the exact line was like, now I could finally rest in peace, right? I thought he was gonna say that. Maybe he'll say that at his retirement, but he said like, I've walked this way many times, walked down that ramp many times. Many people have walked down the ramp, and one by one I've laid them out. But now it's my time to rest in peace. And he choked up before he said it. Because he had to repeat what he said. Let's not forget Vince. Vince also called him out, and Vince got choked up talking about him as well. Vince was actually the last person to come out and introduced him after the package, and got choked up talking about him, saying that no one will ever be like that in the business, which I agree. There's never going to be another Undertaker ever. No one's going to match that, not even The Rock, not Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was the WWE or WWF before Undertaker, right? But Undertaker has transcended all that. We always talk about how The Rock has transcended the universe, which he has, but for the company itself, no one's been as loyal to the company as The Undertaker. I don't think anyone will ever be. Maybe save for Triple H, possibly, because he's now in the front office, I should say. Maybe HBK as well, but the years that this guy has given solely to the company as a wrestler, a performer, talent, no one's ever going to match that. And he came out, said those few lines, rest in peace, and left. After all this build-up, I thought this was such a letdown. I was expecting more of a ceremony, especially after why they made us wait all that time and have all those people come out. It was just 6 lines or whatever, and then walk out. I spoke to Tom. I reached out to Tom, the Road Raider, about, hey, do you want to? I know before the pay-per-view started, I said, hey, if you want to come on and talk about Taker, because I know he's your guy, you're welcome to come on tomorrow night on AfterMat and talk about Taker. He's like, all right, yeah, I'd love to do that. And as soon as it ends, he texts me, goes, so nothing happened. I'm like, yeah, nothing happened. And I'm like, do you still want to come on? And he's like, I don't know, but like, nothing happened. I can't really say anything. That's all I have to say. Great. The Taker's great. Nothing will change for him. I don't think he's still gonna be probably the greatest in the business when it comes to the dedication to the company. One person I could see coming up for dedication, I'll get to it in a little bit. It's never gonna touch. Don't get me wrong. It's never gonna touch what the Taker's done because of his legacy at WrestleMania and everything else he's done and the longevity. But there's one person I feel who loves this business or this company as much as he does, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But Delisha, what's your thoughts of this? Or let me go to the chat real quick first and see what people are saying. Why were they there? Yeah, they're all supposed to be in the ring, but Vince at the last told him to get anyone to get out of the ring because he's terrified of COVID. He's probably gonna get to this huge speech. Yeah, he's probably gonna give a huge speech at retirement. That's what I was thinking too. So pretty much people echoing what I was saying. Delisha, your thoughts?
Pretty much echoing what you were saying. This was it was like I said, it was kind of a letdown. It's just like it wasn't even like the usual like let's show a moment like in between like matches of like either his Survivor Series stuff or just from his career here. So it's like it's kind of. It was almost like they called him that morning. Was like, "Hey, can you make an appearance?" Even though we know that's not true because they were hyping this up for like a week or two now. But it was like, "Hey, can you come down to the office and do this little thing real quick so we can get our ratings up?" It was like that, and then like you said, with all those legends in the ring, even with Hardy being there. I mean, he's still a legend, so to speak, but. He was like the youngest person there by like 10, 15 years people. I mean, I understand what they were trying to convey with him being out there because they did have like that big one that kind of sparked his singles career. But and then again for no they said not one word. None of them said not one word. They came out to the ring, shook hands with each other as they were coming out to the ring, and then we had a little promo with the Taker, and then they were gone when they came back, and you're like, okay. And I thought they were gonna pan out and they would be like around the ring, and no, they weren't. They were just out. And then that's when we saw Vince, and I was like, okay, that was weird. and we're just not going to acknowledge it whatsoever. And although my first thought was, as they kept coming, I was like, wait, no one has a mask on. They're all standing like shoulder to shoulder. I was like, at least spread out. The ring's kind of big enough, spread out. But
I think they all get tested like crazy.
I mean, yeah, that too. But it was just so funny to see.
And maybe the people I mentioned couldn't come because they didn't test positive. Maybe they didn't test negatively or something, whatever it was.
Or didn't feel comfortable doing so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like the actual speech, like you said, it was so short, and you were just like, "Oh, okay, your fake retirement was better." when he like laid his finger out, I was like, "That was better." Actually, he said no words, and it conveyed more emotion. But as we kept all we're saying in chat, it's probably going to be a longer version in the actual retirement ceremony. But I feel like they could have handled this better. Like I even would have just been happy with just vignettes of showcasing his 30 years in the business and that being that, and then we get the full retirement ceremony.
Yeah, and I think just the moment. I think he had a better moment at Ric Flair's retirement thing where, like, everyone like came and like did like a little. They had a little segment. They had interviews and like kind of little speeches and everyone gave. And the final thing that came out, like all the wrestlers are out there clapping for Ric Flair. The audience was going crazy, and then all of a sudden the gong hit, right? And it went dark, and the crowd erupted, and the wrestlers all parted ways, and the Undertaker made a slow walk to the ring, and Ric Flair's like in tears, and then Undertaker gets down on one knee and does that thing and like bows down to Ric Flair. That moment with the Taker for Ric Flair's retirement was so much better than anything that happened in Ric Flair's, in Taker's own retirement. So that was kind of crappy for his sake. But like you said, like that, the one moment with him just laying the thing down conveyed more emotion and said so much more than he said at this past thing. So like we could all hope and we pray for is that his retirement speech is a lot better. And who inducts him? Kane? Shawn Michaels? I don't know. Like,
it's probably gonna be Vince.
Really?
He loves that man.
Yeah, but I think maybe Shawn Michaels might do it. I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
I feel like it should be Kane because, that is his storyline brother. But or always be the logical choice of inductees.
Or it could be the Godfather, like Skye was saying, maybe because it's his like best friend in real life or whatever. So that'd be cool. Also, no Austin, right? No Austin was there. No, so I think somebody. Oh yeah, no. I was thinking of one more person. I couldn't think of who it was now, but Bret Hart kind of thing. Like a lot of these people who were there throughout his whole early years too. That would been cool to see. And one thing I was trying to get a point, and I know it's going to sound so stupid, but I think the only person who loves the business or that company as much as, besides, I guess say Triple H does too, but more of it because it's lucrative for him, but it's The Miz. I feel like The Miz is the only one who could touch The Undertaker in loving the company. Because The Miz gives everything to that company. Like, it means the world to him. So, obviously he's not when it comes to ring-wise and talent and all that, he's not going to hold a candle to the Undertaker, but for the love of the business, I think The Miz is the only one who comes close to the Taker, who could I would give those 30 some odd years to that company like Taker did. I won't have the same, record book or same accolades as him or anything, but I will have the longevity that he had, because remember, Miz wrestles very safely, so and he started young, so he could be there for as long, if not longer. But nothing. Like I said, nothing's ever gonna touch the Taker when it comes to what he did for the company and how much he's given to the company and all the time. But is this the last we see him? Like, obviously we're gonna see the Hall of Fame ceremony and the night of the WrestleMania he comes out and they clap for him, and maybe the Raw after or whatever. But is this the last we see of Undertaker? Maybe of Undertaker, but maybe not American Badass. I don't know. Like, what do you think? What does the chat think?
In the ring, wrestling, I believe so.
Yes.
Will this be the last time we ever see Taker on the stage, or so to speak, of wrestling or of WWE? Probably not. He still has a big love for the business in and of itself. I don't know much of what he does like on the backstage front or behind the scenes front, but yeah, or at least maybe that's just wishful thinking, that I really hope that we do not see him in a wrestling ring ever again, because let the man live and take care of his remaining bones. The man is 50 or over 50 years old. Let him enjoy that. This business is not kind to their bodies, much like actual sports. The wear and tear, especially as you get older, it's harder to bounce back from. So I hope the WWE universe and Vince McMahon let the actual man rest, and we could just see some sporadic appearances here and there, just to keep the younger generation reminded of who he is. But yeah, I don't want him back in the ring, wrestling, ever again.
I don't want him to be in backstage segments I don't want him back to say let me clarify. I don't mind him in backstage segments, but I don't want him in the backstage segments like how they all have like all the legends together just doing some goofy stuff, and then Farouk comes out or Ron Simmons comes out and says damn. Like, I love that damn thing, okay? I love that. But I don't want it to be like a goofball segment like that. Let him have that mystique. The whole thing about The Undertaker was the mystique. And one thing that he said about himself is he wished he's never done like press or interviews. He wanted to have that character where he's just stoic and a dead man, and that's all. He didn't want to go out and be like the friendly, nice guy on the cameras, backstage. I mean, on on interviews, pressers and stuff like that. Like, WWE, Fan Fest and all that. He loved the fans, but he didn't want to be like ruin his character, because that was the whole mystique of Undertaker was everything. So that's why he regrets that. But like I said, he gives so much to the business. He had to do it for the fans, So yeah. So Bubba says he's probably most likely working behind the scenes or just flat out hanging up everything and take time with his family, which he's earned. He's definitely earned. So, any last thoughts on the Taker before we wrap up?
It was fine. Again, I kind of wish we had some like vignette reminders. Not that me and you need reminding of his greatness, but just a little video package, like they sometimes do when they're building up to a send off or some sort of event. Like here and there throughout the pay per view, reminding you of the legacy of Taker. That's really all I wish we had a little bit more of. But all in all, it was what it was for what it was worth.
Yeah, so if you guys are like us, most likely and disappointed with that, go ahead and watch The Last Ride, right, on WWE Network, and you'll probably get all that feelings back and feel good about yourself in the Taker.
Yeah, there's like 1,500. Okay, that was an exaggeration. There's like 8, shows they put out regarding Taker in like the last month or so that are really good. Even right after this, Survivor Series, they had part 2 of his Broken Skull.
Yeah,
that's what it's called.
Broken Skull podcast. Yeah,
with Steve Austin. So and that was fun. Like just hearing him talk is always fun because we don't even get that a lot when he's in his Undertaker garb. Like outside of the American Badass, which I'm going on record, I don't care what y'all say. I love that persona of his because it was different, and teenage me thought it was so cool seeing him with the bandana coming out on a motorcycle. Okay,
a lot of you guys loved it. I think I'm the one who doesn't like it, honestly.
No, I mean as far as the wrestling community as a whole, that's kind of regarded as like his least favored, I guess, persona. Although I do think it's more of us as adults looking back on it. But I remember in the moment I loved every minute of it.
I hated it.
I even liked Kid Rock for 30 seconds.
Yeah, Papa says he's been doing a lot of family stuff. That's what he's been up to. So
yeah, I didn't have taste back then when it came to music. But yeah, what was I talking? Yeah, so go check out a lot of stuff that's on the network with Taker.
I'm sure they have. They're gonna have their own channel or whatever. Not channel, but like they'll have a whole section just for Undertaker. I'm sure. Yeah, on there. So, Delisha, your thoughts?
Yeah, because that also, I cannot remember specifically which one it was, but he has a very good story about him and the Godfather when they went out drinking too much after a show, which is great.
I'm sure he has a lot of great backstage stories as well. So behind the scenes. So your overall, actually another person I'd love to see was Brock Lesnar. Even though we know Brock Lesnar doesn't really show up and care for the business as much. For Taker, I think they're really good friends. I think he would have loved being there for that. Or we would have loved seeing him. But even though there was no point to have those guys come out and do nothing, but we'll see. So your low point, your high point, your overall grade.
My low points, I think I'm going to give to Lashley and Sami Zayn because of the lack of build-up and kinda just the lack of everything about that match, honestly. Because I just didn't enjoy it. And my high point, I'm going to give to. Actually, I keep going back between Asuka and Sasha and New Day Street Horrors, but I think I'm going to give it to New Day Street Profits because Asuka and Sasha delivered on what I thought they was, whereas New Day Street Profits, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to get even though I thought we would get a good match. So I'm going to give a high point to that. And overall, I think I'm going to give this maybe a B minus, C plus range. Because while we did get some good matches, it didn't feel like Survivor Series, if that makes any sense to anyone. Because it really was kind of about the culmination of Taker that overshadowed everything to where they didn't even care about the brand versus brand supremacy part of the Survivor Series that we get now.
Speaking of brand versus brand, it ended up 3-3 on the main card, so if we go back to the pre-show for the tiebreak, Raw wins because The Miz won the Battle Royale. Bubba says that Taker's been doing a lot of family stuff, as he saw on Instagram, but he wouldn't be surprised if he saw Undertaker do a movie or write a book. A book for him would be great, and maybe call it Last Rites. If they use that, send me some money! But yeah, so for me, my overall low point was actually, I'm sad to say, it was the Undertaker segment. I don't think that was very good. I don't think it was it wasn't a good send-off for him, for what he's given to the company. I don't think it was good. I know they did the last ride and all that. Everything that led up to it was great, but his final send-off, I don't think was that great. That was my low point. High point, unfortunately, I did not get to see the Street Profits New Day, which I probably think would probably be my high point, because from what Alicia says, it was really awesome. So I'm going to have to go with Drew and Roman. I really enjoyed that match. It was probably the best match of the evening for what I've seen. And a close second to that was either the Survivor Series matches, classic Survivor Series, or Asuka and Sasha. My overall grade, actually, I'm going to give it an A-. It wasn't bad. It didn't come close to last year's Survivor Series, which featured NXT and all-around great action. But it was still a good, solid card, And I'm sure if I saw that New Day Street Profits match, I'd probably bring it up to an A. But I'm going to have to get an A-. And I think that's it for us. So we're going to ask Alicia where we can find her. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Delisha Renee, and you can find me here on YouTube at Delisha Renee TV. Still, I know Cal has all the links in the community space. I'm trying to work on upping my subscriber list so I can change my URL something better. And in case you don't follow me on Instagram yet, there was supposed to be a post on YouTube today, but as you can see, for me not even being on camera today, I had been having tech issues today, and that video got deleted prematurely, so no upload today, but hopefully I can get another video shot and upload it on Wednesday. But if you did not do a lifestyle on the channel to where I'm vlogging my weight loss journey and also doing healthy recipes videos to get you through your own journey if you are on such a journey.
Yes, so remember, all her links are down below, so make sure you check her out and support her and try to get her to the 100 subs. I think you need 100 subs for your own URL, so make sure you help her get to that.
Yeah.
As for me, I will be back to streaming games this Wednesday, and all the Wednesday, Fridays, and Mondays, so Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays basically, unless we have an AfterTalk or AfterMat, which will be preempted, which will preempt the video gaming, but most likely Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, I'm moving on to Assassin's Creed Valhalla for the PlayStation 5 until I beat that, and then I'll probably take a break from streaming until I find another game I want to do. I know around that time, what the hell is that game that's coming out that got delayed? Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out, but I don't think I'll be streaming that because it's going to be so in-depth and stuff. I'm really going to get engrossed into that. I can't see myself just playing that on stream. I think it needs a lot more dedication, so I probably won't be streaming that, because when I usually stream games, I play most of it on stream except for side quests. And I feel like that game's very intensive, so you need to play it constantly. So yeah, like I said, so Assassin's Creed Valhalla is my next game on the horizon, coming this Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, until we have AfterTalk on December 14th, I think we decided, for the season finale of AfterTalk. I can't, Bubba. I already played that game on Xbox One or PlayStation or whatever it was when it first came out, because it's just a remaster. I thought it was a brand new game. But yeah, those games are so annoying and frustrating. I don't know if I can see myself doing that. I'm sure. Yeah, I know. I'm sure Halo will do it though. So our next AfterTalk will be the season finale, episode 4. talking about creating a wrestler. So we're talking about the best parts of every wrestler to make up one great wrestler, and that's coming on December 14th. And then the week after that will be our final pay-per-view of the year, which will be TLC, which should be held on December 20th. So you'll see AfterMat on December 21st at the same times at 7 p.m. Eastern. My gaming streams will be at 4 p.m. Eastern. So that's pretty much it for us, and that's the next time you'll see all of us. Until then, guys, keep slamming the haters and be the champion of your dreams. See you guys later.
Good night.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest, echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays.